Previously on Myth Hunters, Barry and Susan explored the myth of Miles Jackson, but they turned up empty-handed. Now, a new myth has surfaced that has Barry and Susan hot on the trail of a werewolf. Is the myth real or just a story? Find out on this episode of Myth Hunters.
I'm really excited that there's a new lead on a werewolf in the building.
Apparently, my building is not just a hotspot for ghosts, but also werewolves.
That makes me really excited. You know how much I love werewolves.
I know, I'm excited for you.
So, because of that, I've been interviewing all the residents here in Barry's building, and I came across this old Armenian woman who admitted to seeing a werewolf in one of the rooms in the basement.
His name is Stanley McKinley, and apparently he's been afflicted with the curse of the lycanthrope for over 10 years.
So come and follow us as we go and check out the basement to see if we could find any werewolves.
This is the door. It seems to be locked, so I'm gonna kick it in. Oh, my leg. Oh, my leg. Oh, my leg.
Well, you got it open.
Barry, you sure you're okay?
Yes, Susan, I'm okay. Just go. Check it out.
Are you?
Okay. My God!
What are you doing?
Susan!
What are you doing?
It's a werewolf!
I know. I wanted to ask him out.
What? God, are you crazy? Okay, if you want to ask him out, go downstairs and, get yourself prepared. You can't just blindly ask a werewolf out.
I do that all the time. I've dated so many werewolves.
Go.
You're gonna regret this.
Dude, it's me.
You think it worked?
I don't know. I think so.
Yes.
Man, this has to be the most harebrained, pun intended, idea that you've ever come up with.
Yeah, but breaking the ice is really tough for me. And girls, this is perfect. I think it really worked. I broke the ice. Hey, maybe I should take my shirt off. Yeah, I'm really hairy underneath this. Check this out. I mean, you got Chewbacca, he's got nothing on this.
Dude, you're asking me for dating advice? I'm dating a ghost that won't even talk to me. That gives me an idea. Again. Yeah, again.
I'm really stoked to be talking about werewolves.
Yes?
Yeah, they're my faves. I actually like them more than ghosts.
Yeah? Ooh.
Yeah. I'm more like eagle-eyed and skeptical about ghosts, and so it's too close to home, whereas I fantasize about werewolves, so that's a lot more fun.
It is fun. It is more fun.
Yeah.
It's better when you can be tangible about something. When you can grab onto something.
Tell me about it. The hairier, the better.
Yeah, that's... Well, Ted's here again. He's got a lot of hair.
Ted.
Andy's also pretty hairy.
There's a lot of sexy dudes up in here. Hey, Andy. That's right.
Ooh.
Wait, let me show you my chest hairs.
So, I gotta tell you a little bit of something from my personal life.
Oh, wait, how is your girlfriend?
So, she's not talking to me anymore, because I had this relapse, and I hooked up with Charlotte, and then the ghost got mad.
Wait, who's Charlotte?
My succubus affair.
Why didn't I know about this?
Well, I'm not proud of it.
Well, that makes sense why she's not talking to you.
But I tried something, and I need your opinion, because you're an expert in these things. I used a Ouija board by myself.
Oh, that's fun.
Okay. Is it really dangerous to use those by yourself?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's dangerous to piss off a angry ghost spirit.
Well, maybe, do you think in the last segment of this episode, maybe you and I can try using the Ouija board? Maybe having a female with me?
I
will
doubt
help?
that having a female with you, she's probably going to end up haunting me and the succubus is going to rape me in my dreams.
Okay. All right,
but I'll help you anyways because it sounds like a good time.
Okay. All right. So how's your personal life going?
I just can't get that one guy out of my head. I mean...
The werewolf?
Well, he's part man, part wolf. Labels whatever. He's a werewolf. But, it just makes every, average Joe here in LA look like a schmuck.
Yeah, there are lots of schmucks here in LA.
But, you don't find a werewolf every day. So, I don't know. I was kind of hoping to bump into him again.
Well, we can hope.
All right.
So, a few updates on the show. Our Patreon campaign's going okay, but we still need some help, you guys. See this shirt? I can't really afford
He
any
needs new shirts.
new clothes, and peanut butter and jelly's getting kind of old. So yeah, maybe hopefully you can visit our site, patreon.com/thehorrorgeekcast. And Susan, your social media. Sorry, I just touched your boob.
You're gonna piss off all your girlfriends. Like, having
I'm
me
sorry,
on this
honey.
show.
I'm sorry.
She's looking at it. I could feel her presence right now.
Uh-oh.
You can find me on Twitter at slaughter_Susan or on Instagram as Susan the Dragon Witch.
That's right. And ours, if you haven't done so already, facebook.com/thehorrorgeeks, and then Twitter and Instagram @thehorrorgeeks. So you were texting me all week. You're like, so excited. Werewolves, werewolves, werewolves.
So I started with the OG werewolf movie.
Yeah?
I went... Did you hear that? Is he here?
They've all died apparently. And I'd like to stress the word apparently by overexhaustion in the act of sexual intercourse.
So Old English, the forefather of English, were meant man, so like half man, like werewolf, half man. So you can have werebears,
Werecats.
werecats, and werepanthers, and all kinds of were things.
Man
Where
things.
are they? I don't know.
Where are the wares?
Where are the wares? That should be a little skit that we do.
Where, oh, where? Where's my werewolf? No?
Okay, yeah. Check that out. All right, the show has come to a crashing halt.
Okay.
But the history of werewolves is really, really fascinating.
I mean, I don't know. It's funny that you mentioned like Old English because I always thought like it originated like somewhere in the Carpathian Mountains.
Well, it's got the interesting thing about werewolves is it's not, the myth isn't as universal as some other things, but you still find the myth a lot of places around the world. Like, the Native Americans had skinwalkers, or their
Right.
version of skinwalkers.
Like shapeshifters.
Yeah, Central Asia, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, Kurtadam or something like that. And then in Europe, in medieval Europe, we know a lot of those legends because of like the writings and even the werewolf trials from the Middle Ages. But where the myth of the werewolf, that goes way back beyond that to like the pagan roots of Europe. So it's really, really interesting, and I think the reason that a lot of that werewolf stuff that we know of came out of like the Middle Ages is because that was sort of running parallel to like the witch trials. So there were a lot of witch and werewolf trials, and that's, when you look at the course of history, that's when Christianity was really sort of solidifying its power structure in Europe. Kind of coming out of the Dark Ages, and then the church just gained a lot of power, and then people started like really believing in the werewolf legends.
Right, so they had like the witch trials for all the women and the werewolf trials for all the wares.
For all the wares. Where are the wares? Getting burned at the stake.
How did you kill a werewolf in a werewolf trial?
I think they did it a lot of the same way that they killed witches.
That's why
They
I
just
love
like
them so much. They're so
tortured
much
them
fun.
to death or burned them at the stake. So, yeah. How many werewolves died?
None. They're the real werewolves are still out there. They're the smart ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They just take their shape and like run off into the woods.
Yeah.
Okay, so other than like the religious aspects of the werewolf and the werewolf trials, like are there any other aspects to like what a werewolf could be or where they come from?
My favorite theory, to me this is absolutely fascinating, is that people were tripping and there were mass hallucinations. Have you ever heard of ergo?
Yes, I have.
Yeah?
Yeah. I have.
Ergo is a fungus that grows on rye, and it's what Albert Hoffman developed LSD from.
Bless his soul.
So the theory goes that all these villagers in rural, well, at that time it was pretty much all rural Europe, there was a bad crop and they had this fungus on it, and everybody ate the rye, and they basically started tripping, maybe even just at a mild level, but they were susceptible to like sort of mass paranoia and some kind of mass hallucinations.
So they saw wolves?
Well, they might have seen wolves around the villages, and then maybe someone was like, oh, I saw that wolf transform into a man. And then his wife was like...
Best trip ever.
It would be a pretty cool trip. And then it
We're
just
gonna
kind
get
of...
my hands on that shit.
It just kind of spread, and then it became a mass hysteria, just like in Salem with the witch trials. And, you know, one person sort of accused someone else, and then people started believing in it, and oh, well, I saw so-and-so do something strange, and it just kind of snowballed.
I want to be snowballed by a werewolf.
Or would you snowball a werewolf?
Yeah. Anything involving werewolves, I'm in.
Okay. All right, I'll keep that in mind. I'll add that to your dating profile.
Yeah. You don't want to see my dating profile. It says way worse things than that.
So that's a little bit of background on the historical side. The fictional side, I don't know. There's so many things. You know, the silver bullets, the curses. Some of that is rooted in the quote-unquote historical record. Some of it isn't.
At the end of the day, it's all about the duality in each of us. You know what I mean? Like, if taken to that extreme, like, you can be a monster yourself. And it's the most relatable monster because you are human, and it's like you lose that human aspect when you're a werewolf. You know, and it's kind of like this sad, tragic thing. But there is, like, excitement in being, like, an animal and being, like, primal. And... Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like...
But for some people, that's terrifying to them. You know, some people are, like, terrified to not be human. To be, like, an animal.
Well, I mean, I think most women could relate to it because every month, you know, we have to go through the same shit.
And now, the top 10.
Ted of the jungle, strong as he can be.
I don't know if that's true.
We're doing animal movies.
Yes,
animal
we are.
Horror movies.
Yes, we are.
What kind of goodies do you have for us? Are you going with sort of the normal ones, or are you going to give us some special
No,
ones?
I figure that if people are watching a horror podcast, they've probably seen Jaws. If you haven't seen Jaws and you're watching a horror podcast, then I don't know why. You're probably like our aunt or something like that.
Yeah.
Hi, Aunt Kelly. But no, this is actually a list of movies that I just really, really like and that a lot of people probably haven't seen. So.
Okay. All right, let's jump right in.
Okay, so first off, we have Prey. Have you seen this one?
I have.
It's about a few people that get trapped when they're on safari, and basically they are without a safari guide, in a car with no keys, surrounded by lions.
But the lions are so cute.
Rogue. Now, there are a lot. You know that there are a lot of shark movies, a lot of crocodile movies, alligator movies, but Rogue really stood out because it's a giant crocodile in pretty, like, harsh conditions, and it's one of those movies where you just feel hopeless the entire time.
Crocodiles, period, are terrifying. Anything that can survive the mass extinction of 65 million years ago, that's automatically scary.
And they have all those teeth and no toothbrush.
All those teeth and no toothbrush.
Next we have Razorback, and you mentioned you like this film a lot.
I love Razorback. It's an Australian film. It's kind of that trippy 80s Australian film style.
Yeah.
And I love Australian horror, which one of these days we're definitely going to do an Australian horror episode. But Razorback is kick-ass.
Giant killer pig in the middle of the outback. What else do you need to say?
Yeah.
Next, we have a movie called Burning Bright. The title actually is not a good representation of what the movie is about.
I have not seen this one.
This mother dies, and the stepdad has to take care of these kids, and they move into this new house. They wake up, and they're in the house with tigers.
Oh.
And the stepdad is not in the house, so they just locks them in the house and boards it up, and they're in there with tigers and have to survive.
Huh. All right. I'll definitely check that out.
So next we have Alligator. This is an oldie but goodie, and maybe some of you have seen it before. It is kind of like classic when you're talking about, you know, animal horror movies.
Absolutely. I think Alligator is interesting because it kind of has a couple different elements to it. Like, one is the urban legend of alligators growing huge in the sewers, and the other is sort of a commentary on genetic testing.
So next we have the only bear movie on the list.
Grizzly.
It is not gruesome, unfortunately. This movie is called Backcountry. It's about a couple that goes backpacking by themselves in the middle of this like national park, and they go off where they're not supposed to, and they get attacked by a ravenous bear.
Movie's really good.
Next is from the late great George Romero, Monkey Shines. And what do you think about it? It's like a really strange premise for a movie, and it seems pretty comical. It's like, you know, this paraplegic guy gets a monkey, and then the monkey goes crazy and starts to kill people. But it actually really works. It's really
perfectly
creepy.
believable.
It's really creepy, and it's like really claustrophobic.
Yeah.
I really, really liked it. Congo.
Oh, little Tim. All you have to say about this movie is Tim Curry.
Tim Curry.
Any movie that has Tim Curry in it, that's all you got to say. Tim Curry.
Just recently watched it again. It was amazing, and it's a very long movie, very slow burn, but once you get to that temple, and Tim Curry, like you said, just steals the show.
Yeah.
This is Prime Evil.
Ooh.
So basically, this movie is based on an actual story of an African crocodile that supposedly is close to 140 years old and has eaten over 300 people. His name is Gustav.
Gustav, man, yeah, I remember reading articles about this crocodile before the movie was made.
Yeah.
Yeah, this thing was just a machine, just human eating machine. Mm-hmm. Number one is a movie called Frozen. Let it go, let it go.
Not that one.
Oh, not that one?
Not that one.
Oh.
And no, not a lot of people know this one exists. It comes from the amazing, awesome guy, Adam Green.
Yes.
He is, he's known for the Hatchet series.
He's known for the Hatchet series. I will say, Frozen, I'm glad you put this on here because I think Frozen is his best movie.
Really?
Now,
I think this is, for me, it's a toss-up between this and Digging Up the Marrow. I really love
Digging Up the Marrow was really, really good, and I feel like a lot of people had just kind of passed by them. Adam Green has like a really loyal fan base. I've never met him. He seems like such a cool dude.
I met him.
I know that we'd be two peas in a pod if I did meet him.
Frozen basically puts these people in New England on a ski lift, and halfway up the mountain, the ski lift stops, and everybody goes home. And now they're stuck in sub-freezing temperatures with a storm on the way, and hungry wolves below them if they decide to jump down from the ski lift. So it's either freeze to death or get eaten by wolves.
Remember, a stranger
Can mean danger. Now I know.
and knowing is half the battle.
Movies.
Yay! Now I could chime in.
Movies. So I picked out 6 for us to talk about.
Yes. Good ones, too.
Good ones.
Yeah.
Starting with The Wolfman. Now this is 3 words. The Wolfman.
I didn't like the character of the original Wolfman. Because
Yeah?
he's kind of a douche, you know?
He's
He's
a
all
bit-
like throwing himself on this girl that's about
It's
to
a
get
bit
married.
douchey. Yeah.
You know, so we got what was coming to him. But I liked the I guess it's not a remake, but it's just like a continuation of.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because it's not a true remake. But then I also wanted to mention what Universal, because the Wolfman was part of that original like Universal monster movie thing, which most of those movies are cool and people really revere those. I mean, you got The Invisible Man, The Mummy, Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman. So Universal was known for that, but then they're also doing this new thing. They're trying to cash in on like the cinematic universe thing like Marvel is doing and whatever the hell DC is doing. But Universal is trying this thing and they're calling it the Dark Universe. So regardless of our feelings about the 1941 The Wolfman, it did sort of set the standard for werewolf movies as far as the lore and sort of the mythology, which we talked a little bit about in section 2, kind of the fictional mythology and fictional history of those things. And that set the example for some movies later on.
The aesthetic of the Wolfman, like that was kind of like they built that aesthetic, which I wasn't a big fan of, and I think like it grows and gets better as to what a werewolf should look like, because the transformation, for example, in the beginning, like, he still transforms into, like, this wolf man. He's still got full-on clothing, and he's running around in the woods, you know?
Yeah.
I liked the idea that started coming up later on, you know, that the werewolf is superhuman and much bigger, tearing out of its clothing, and looks more wolf-like, because really, the Wolfman, the original Wolfman, didn't have a really good aesthetic, and it wasn't until, like, you know, you start looking at, like, the transformation scenes from, like, American Werewolf in London, that it's more of, like, just a full-on transformation. Like, you turn into an actual beast. Like, you are 8 foot tall, tearing out of your clothing. And the practical effects is obviously one of the best, you know, especially for the transition scenes.
Yeah. One of the things that I do really, really like about American Werewolf in London is that it goes into the psychological aspect. You know, which, is, if I remember, no movie had done that before then. And since then, I don't really know that anything's done it as well as that. Just like, you know, the crazy dreams he has and how vivid they are.
Like
I
the
mean,
soldiers with the shotguns, like...
Yes, that scene is amazing. And I do really like the psychological aspect of American Werewolf in London. But there are 2 other movies from just 1981 alone that I enjoy more.
Wolfen.
81 was, like, the year for werewolf movies. You had American Werewolf in London, The Howling, and Wolfen. Now, Wolfen's a little bit different. Some people might even say it's not a true werewolf movie. It's more of a shapeshifter or skinwalker movie. But, man, I love that movie. I don't think you're a huge fan.
I'm not a huge fan because it's more like a crime.
It definitely
like,
is. It's a
whodunit movie.
Yeah.
Which I know you like. It just didn't speak to me. I did like the one Native American character where, you know, you think it kind of psychs you out. That one scene was probably my favorite, where, like, all of a sudden he starts tearing off all of his clothes on the beach.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're, like, waiting for the transformation, which is my favorite scene because I guess, like, the anticipation of it, but then it doesn't happen, and then he says, like, this brilliant line where it's like, all in the mind.
Yeah.
You know, and it's true. It's like, that was my favorite scene in the movie.
The reason that I love it so much is, yes, it is like a crime whodunit. There's that kind of aspect, but a lot of it is psychological, and I think that there is some really deep social commentary going on. I mean, you mentioned the Native Americans. I mean, it's about the genocide of Native Americans by Europeans, but it's also the co-genocide of the Native Americans and the wolves.
I know.
The Howling.
Speaking about the same year, one of the most transformation scenes in a feature was definitely The Howling. Like, how many transformation scenes were in that movie?
There's quite a few.
There's transformation during sex scene.
That is amazing. That scene is so cool.
And then there's that creepy perv guy that, like, goes after, oh, God bless her soul, Dee Wallace. I met her in real life, and I love that
Really?
woman.
I love Dee Wallace. I think she's amazingly talented.
Yes.
I think she's one of the most just cutest women in the whole world.
Yeah, she's just like that in real life, too. I love her.
Speaking of Dee Wallace and transformation, the final scene where she transforms in front of the camera.
And that was also the first time we started seeing women as werewolves.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. I liked that. It's like one of the classics. I love The Howling.
Yeah.
So.
Howling is so good. And the score has that, like, kind of gothic score to it. And going back to the sex scene, that sex scene is probably my favorite sex scene in a horror movie ever. Because it's the transformation, you know, there's humans and they start having sex and then they transform. But also, if you pay attention to the score, it starts off as this just like lovey, like dun 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 dun. But then it transforms into this gothic score as they start transforming.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely brilliant.
American Werewolf in London is my favorite. You know, Beware the Moors, like, you know, The Slaughtered Lamb, like all that shit just rings so true with me. But what is your favorite werewolf movie?
My favorite werewolf movie of all time, I'm shocked that a lot of people just don't even know this movie exists, is The Company of Wolves. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Co-stars the Angel of Death herself, Angela Lansbury.
It's nowhere to be found. Like, I can't even rent it or buy it anywhere.
It's a hard movie to find, but it's so good. The movie is really trippy. It's like an anthology within a dream, but then the framing story of the anthology kind of also has a dream aspect. So it's really kind of a movie within a movie within a movie, and the different layers of the movie start interacting with each other in a weird way. I'm pretty sure the director, maybe and the production designer, like, did an acid trip before they planned that movie out.
I mean, apparently acid and werewolves go hand in hand.
Yes, they do. So they were just being true to the historical
genre.
theory and the genre.
Yeah, it's just, you know.
There you go. Now, recent werewolf movies. Ginger Snaps.
I liked everything about that movie because, you know, I identified with, like, the outcast goth girl.
I really, really like it. I love Catherine Isabel. Honey, if you're listening to me, just close your ghost ears. Catherine Isabel, if you want to get in touch with me, Barry D. Morgan on Twitter. Just saying. But the movie itself is so good.
It's very 90s, too. Like, the outfits and, like, you know, the teen angst. It's just, like, it's right in that genre.
Yeah, it is. It's so good. It's so good.
Total sexual abstinence.
Abstinence isn't going to be anything new around here.
Well, if I were positive it was going to kill you, I'd do it.
So it's time to say goodbye. Werewolves. We had fun, though, right?
Where's the...
Stop. Stop.
I miss him.
Can we talk about me for a minute?
Look, the more we talk about you, the more jealous your ghost girlfriend or your sucker bitch is going to hate on me.
Yeah, that's true. But that's why. Look. I've got the Ouija board.
I mean, I'm excited for that.
Okay. All right, Susan. Let's try. You're the expert on this, so do we just...
So
I don't know if I was doing it right when I was by myself.
There's no space.
Okay.
So we ask a question.
Okay, honey, are you there? I miss you. Just let me know. You are here, baby. Okay,
I mean, if you're watching, then you know for a fact that, you know, there's nothing going on between me and Barry. Just...
Nothing at all. I promise. Do you believe me?
Okay.
All right. Do you think that maybe we could hang out again sometime soon? I don't know, play Metroid, maybe?
Wait, S. O. E. Sex.
What? You ready to have sex? Netflix and chill?
Whoa, that was like...
Oh my goodness!
Wait, is that the werewolf? Oh. That's my cue,
Oh,
I'm out. No, that's it.
Wait.
This is my chance. This is my chance!
Susan!
Claude, you should make a commercial about this.
Great idea. Get new Super Polygrip powder with 12-hour holding power.